Hello, and welcome to Invitation to a Conversation. I'm Pamela Bailey. Today, my conversation is in honor of Veterans Day, and the veteran that I will be honoring today is Roxanne Felder. Hi, Roxanne, Miss Felder.
Hey,
How you doing today?
hey, I'm blessed. I'm wonderful, Pam. I can't complain. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Let me see if I could turn up this volume some.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, there we go. I want to make sure everybody can hear us clearly. Um, we are on two different states. I'm in Georgia, and you're a native of Maryland. What specific city do you live in?
Oh, I live in Columbia, Maryland. Columbia, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And this election season, y'all have gained your first African American governor.
Yes,
Yes.
we. Hey, we did it. Maryland got it right.
Yes. Were you did you have the chance to see any of his debates and get an understanding basically of what type of person he is?
Well, yes, I caught a little bit of the first debate, but fortunately for me, I had the opportunity to meet him at my church. He visited my church one Sunday, so at the service, I talked to him for a few minutes. But also prior to that, I had read his book. He wrote a book. Probably even before he thought about running for office, and I had the opportunity to read that book. I read his book. So yeah, when I read his book, well, after reading his book, then having the opportunity to meet him, I was able to talk to him and ask him a few questions about him running for the race and everything and how he felt about it.
So do you feel as though he's ready by reading his book and meeting him? What kind of person do you think he is?
Well, actually, yeah, he's ready because he grew up in Baltimore. I was born in Baltimore City, and he grew up in Baltimore. And a lot of the places that he mentioned in his book, I'm very familiar with them, and it's some of the people as well. So I know after growing up in the area that he grew up and talking and knowing some of the people who he was speaking about, I knew that he would be a good candidate for our governorship, but also he would be a great governor. But also, like I told him, because he's a veteran as well too, I told him, I have full confidence that he's able to do the job, because there were reports coming out that he doesn't have the experience and how can he run the government. And you know as well as I do, you're a veteran. You've been in the military. I'm also working in law enforcement. I worked in law enforcement. When you can work in those two arenas and do it successfully, I guarantee you there is nothing that you can't do. And I told him that too. And there was a law enforcement officer who was by him, part of his security, if you will. I told him too. I said, once you do these two professions and you do them well, there's nothing you can't do. But he also has the education behind him. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So I have full confidence that he can move this state forward, if you will.
How far are you from Baltimore, Maryland?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
15 minutes.
In that blue crab state, are you a crab eater?
Girl, you know I am. Crab cake, any type of seafood. I'm there. I love it.
I love it. Yes. Coming from Philadelphia, moving down south, one of the best things I learned is seafood, and I love seafood. You can't eat too much of it. Don't want to get that gout, but I love that
Yeah.
seafood. Yes. So, when did you start thinking about you have three careers? When you were younger, when did you start thinking about your careers? And did you think about all three that you finally obtained?
Uh, well, no. At the high school, I wanted to be a sports commentator. You know, I that's what I put in my yearbook. But reality set in, and I didn't go to college. I didn't go straight to college. I went into the military. I wanted to get away from Baltimore, if you will, and I just decided to enlist in the military, and I think that's one of the best decisions that I have made, thus far, because not only did I travel, I got to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different places, around the world, So it was good for me. I got to see how other people live, so I wasn't just limited to that one way of thinking, being from Baltimore. So
Right.
it exposed me to a lot, and from
Mhm.
there, I'm very active. I'm a high energy person,
Mhm.
so after the military, I was thinking, well, I can do law enforcement, you know. I applied, was accepted uh, in the state of Maryland, in Baltimore City, in the correctional, uh, with the correctional arena, if you will. That's where I started in, and I did very well there too. So that's how I
So
ended up.
out of all of the branches, out of all of the branches of the military, how did you come to pick the Navy?
Yeah, right. Go Navy. Actually, I could have went into any of them because of my ASVAB scores. I did really well on the test, but my recruiter was from the Navy, so I think he was kind of biased, and he kind of I was young too, so I kind of listened to him. One thing about me, I always listen and take advice from my elders. I love them, So he kind of persuaded me to go into the Navy.
And what job did you do in the Navy?
I was a telecommunication operator.
Okay.
And fortunately, you went to, I believe you went to the same school in San Diego. Did you go?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
radio men. We're
yes.
radio men. There now they're IT computer people.
Oh, okay, that's
They don't
great.
call them yeah, they don't call them radio men anymore. They just switched
Okay,
them into because we worked on computers.
exactly, exactly. We were exposed early on before they became what they are now.
Yeah,
Even with IT, we had techs, who basically do what an IT person does now. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Boot them back up when they crashed down.
that's it.
And
That's it.
they were visual data terminals called. The computers were visual data terminals when we were in the military.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Did you enjoy that particular position? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it. And I one of the reasons why I loved it, I mean, I didn't like the hours because we worked long hours in the military, but I loved it because I was stationed in Hawaii.
Hmm.
So yeah, I got to work on Fort Island. And I hope your audience know the history of Fort Island. That's the island that almost got bombed by Japan during one of the world wars. So, but yeah, I was fortunate to work there on Fort Island. And of course, the weather was nice being stationed in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we worked hard, but on our days off, we party hard too. We had a good
Yeah.
time. I had a good time there. So I couldn't ask for more. I couldn't ask for
Yes.
more. That was my first duty station as a telecommunication operator. After work hours, I was able to go to Waikiki and hang out on the beach, the North Shores. So it was good for me. It was good.
Do you do you do you think that your training from the military has carried you through your journey post military up until this day?
Oh yes, yes, I do, and I would encourage anybody who needs discipline, or they feel like their kids or child needs discipline. The military would be a good place for them. And well, granted, when I was in, the world wasn't what it is today, but when I went in, I mean, it was good for me because they basically instilled discipline, teamwork, just being proactive and getting the job done, um, being respectful, honoring the system and how it work, being respectful to your fellow shipmate, sailor or marine or whatever. So yes, yeah, I it was good. It was good for me as far as discipline and just thinking outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was.
Yes, I think every child, if they are undecided of what they want to do, I always say either college or the military. Both are going to teach you discipline because you're both on your own, away from your family, especially if you're living in the dorm. And they will teach you responsibility. But one thing the military will give you, they will give you a job and they will give you pay while you're learning this skill. And like you say, along with that, it goes traveling and you're meeting people from all across diversities in different states. Yes. Um, how do you feel about women on the front line?
Oh, women on the front line. Oof. I mean, I feel like there isn't anything that we can't do. If we're trained properly, and if we apply ourselves and put our minds to it. Um, I know some people think women are emotional, and that may be true. But also, too, when we've been taught properly, and there's a job that we need to get done, you want to get it done, ask some women who are about their business. They will get the job done.
Yeah.
When I was in, we weren't placed on the front line. We weren't. We couldn't be placed
Mhm.
on the front line. But of course, laws change, and now women can be on the front line. So, I mean, if that's where they want to be, if they feel like they want to, help out their fellowship mate, or or marine or sailor or whatever, then so be it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't do.
Well, the times has changed because when we were in, they were just now placing women on ships. And we still could only have limited hairstyles and limited jobs. So they have come a long way.
Yeah.
Yes. What's one of your best military experience?
Oh gosh, my best. I had many, but I mean, just the opportunity to be stationed in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for 4 years I was stationed there. I basically lived there because we had to move off base to make rooms for the sailors who were on the ships. So when they moved us off base, it was like I had my own apartment. So I was like living there and working in the military. So when I was home, it was like almost I was a civilian. I could basically do what I wanted to do, go where I wanted to go. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there is one particular good thing that stands out because my experience just being stationed, well, being in the military and just being in Hawaii. I mean, it was just good. It was good. I had good experience. Yeah, good experience.
Now, when Veterans Day comes or Memorial Day come, we always sees back to in the military, but they very seldom discuss the transition from military life. How was your transition from military life back to civilian life, knowing the age difference, going in as a teenager and coming out as a mature woman?
Oh, well, for me, I had a good foundation, so I've always had a place to come to. I've always had family members who supported me and who basically were there for me if I needed them. Always had a place to stay. I always had a place to start over. My mom, I went back to live with my mom until I was able to get my own place. But even if I didn't want to, live with her, I had family members who I could live with. So that foundation for me was good compared to what some of our military brothers and sisters are experiencing right now, when they come out and they have to start over and they don't have that a good support system to help them or to keep them afloat until they can get the proper job or create the proper business that would create income for them so that they could survive. So it's different from all of us, but for me, because of the support system that I had, it was an easy transition from military life to civilian life, and being productive, and
Mm-hmm.
making a living, a living that would sustain me economically.
Mm-hmm. And you have three interesting careers that you delved into. Um, I don't know. After the military, you were a law enforcement officer, an author, and a realtor. So, can you explain how you came up with each one of those careers? How did you? Why did you think about it? Why you chose them? And how was it?
Well, this goes back to like what I stated about our new governor. Man, and I'm so happy for him. Once you've been exposed to the military lifestyle, and that discipline, and the training and the education, um, there isn't anything that you can't do, and so I'm always open for a challenge. I always look for opportunities, and sometimes, by the grace of God, opportunities, ooh, I'm getting ready to preach now. Opportunities they just present themselves to me,
Mm-hmm.
so, and I'm telling you, the confidence, the strength, and the courage, the camaraderie, the discipline, just the training that I gained from being in the military. Just it showed, and it's showing me, I can apply some of the same skills and get the job done, whatever it is that I decide to do. Now, with the real estate, I had a family member who was into real estate, and she did very well, and we didn't really find out how well she did until she passed away. So I was thinking, wow, if she could do that, then hey, maybe I should venture out into that arena and see how well I can do. So thus here I am, and I'm doing very well.
That's your current career choice, realtor.
Yes.
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 And how did you decide to be a law enforcement officer?
Well, I'm not one of those high energy people, and I've always exercised and worked out, and I'm always up for a challenge. So I knew I probably could get through the training, um but also too, I'm one of those people who like helping people, so, and plus, with law enforcement, when I first started, I mean, it's changed tremendously. It's changed a lot. The pay was good then, and it's still, good now. But the people, our standards of morals were a little different, back then. We were really about getting the job done, and, you know, um, helping out our fellow citizens, who pay our taxes, but also, I mean, not pay our taxes, but our salary, So, and you have officers like that today, what I'm saying? But it just, I guess because we have the cameras, our phones, we see a lot
Right.
more now than we did then.
Right. And you're not in that career choice now, but when you were in it, did you see some of the change? Did you see some of the things that needed to be changed? And have they been changed or have they not been changed
Well,
since
what
you've been an enforcement
can you be
officer?
a little bit more particular or specific about things when you say things? What particular? Because so much is happening in law for
Right.
enforcement right now.
So, um, for instance, the accountability of police officers. When you were in law enforcement and you were a police officer, right?
Well, I was a correctional officer. I was a public safety officer, and of course, I've done security as well.
Right.
So
So just being in that field, some of the things that police officers did, correction officers did you see a need for a change? Did you speak about those change? have those change happen or not, or they're still where they were at when you were working in those career choices?
Well, for me, I can only speak about my experiences, and my reputation is it speaks for itself. You know, I was the type of officer, and I retired as a lieutenant, but I was the type of officer who got the job done. What we were supposed to do, it got done. What
Mm-hmm.
people were supposed to have, they got it.
Mm-hmm.
What they weren't supposed to have, then they were dealt with accordingly. And I say that, I don't mean, you know, they were physically abused, you know, or anything, but there are rules and regulations and consequences that, you know, one has to abide by. Um, you know, so I played by the book, you know, the rules. I I was fair, firm, and impartial, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. So I didn't have a lot. I really didn't have a whole lot of um, problems with the people who I encountered. I
Mm-hmm.
did, because I'm for
Were you?
always, you know. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm like, you know, when you're respectful, you get it back for the most part, and sometimes you don't, but still, you have to remain a professional that you are.
Hmm. Were you in law enforcement during the Freddie Gray incident in Baltimore, Maryland?
No, actually, I wasn't. I wasn't. What I might have been doing security. I might have been doing security at that time. But yeah, no, I wasn't a part of that agency. But I'm very familiar with it. And yeah,
I know that changed Baltimore for a while. And then a book author. What made you go into writing books and how many?
shameless plug. No,
Let
I'm
me
just
see. You can put it up. You can put it up.
kidding.
It says "Cover Me,"
Right. A
a
dialogue
dialogue
with
with the Diddy. Mm-hmm.
yeah, with the
Deity.
deity.
Mm-hmm. Is deity the same word as God?
Yes, yes, and actually, or higher being, um, yeah, basically, in the book Cover Me, a dialogue with the deity. Basically, it's a soliloquy. And a soliloquy is like when someone is having a conversation with themselves or they're having a conversation with the deity, a higher being. So that's basically what my book is about, me conversating with God. And I mean, we do that through prayer. When we have prayer, we're that's all prayer is. It's basically a conversation that we're having with God, you know. So that's I titled this book because I just wanted to write down my thoughts, you know, and some of my prayers. I wanted to put them on paper, and I did that. And I just you know how we journal, and I just
Mm-hmm.
put it all together, and it became
Mm-hmm.
this book, Cover Me, a dialogue with the deity.
Are you thinking about writing another book?
Yes, yes, eventually, and I have started, but I haven't finished. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
finished it yet. I have to, for me, I have to be in a mood really
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, to get it all together, bring it all together. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I write, then I stop. I take a break. I take breaks from it, and then something happened. Then I'm pushed back into it, and I'll start writing again. So
So do you write your, when you have that thought that could be in a book, do you write it down somewhere and keep those pieces of paper, and then when you decide to write the book you put them all together?
yes, I do. I use my phone. We have our phone with us all the time, and you know the little notes section.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jot it down so I won't forget it, because if I don't, I'll forget it, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, what was that thought? What was it that came to my mind? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh God, I can't remember exactly how it came to me. So I have to write, you know, things that I think, or things that God showed me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the course of my journey or day. I'll
Mm-hmm.
document it. You know, documentation is so important. And, you know, people tell us all the time, Oprah and them, just write it down, journal, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not a good journal. I start out with it and then I just leave it alone. But using my notepad on my phone is more reliable. Mhm. It was more reliable.
Right.
You say that you struggled with the challenge of serving God in spirit and truth. Can you elaborate somewhat of what that struggle was?
I think when you are trying to live right and you're trying to do the right thing, um based on what your beliefs are according to the Bible or the Quran or whatever book that you use. um you see things in the world and you don't understand why and how could this thing be, because if God is God, then how can some things happen? So therein lies the struggle. I mean, I can give you an example of that, with the race in Atlanta.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
think about it. We have a man of God that's running who's not perfect. Then you have this other candidate that's running who's not perfect.
Hmm.
But you have a majority, I don't know if it's a majority, but you have a lot of, men of the cloth, if you will, who are supporting not the
Walking.
right,
Walking.
not the
Hmm.
pastor or the man of God
Hmm.
who's, like them
Hmm.
to a certain degree,
Hmm.
but they supporting this candidate. So it's like it's a little baffling to me,
Hmm.
and that, the, we saying to serve, we serve the same God, and I just, this is like conflicting to me, but I understand it too. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be in denial about that.
Hmm.
I understand what's going on as well too. So
And like you said, they're both not perfect, but you see one is good, trying to be good, and one is doesn't show any goodness in his verbiage or anything. And you wondering, and I just had this conversation with somebody, and you wondering, because God said the road to earthly things is wider than the road to heaven. And why would somebody support somebody that they knowingly know that, if that it was alleged that he did this to his ex-wife or whatever? And it goes to show you that women aren't protected or looked upon as they should be, because if it's somebody like that running in a political election, you don't want that out there, because there's laws that we have to try to protect women from being abused, or abortion. How can you vote for something like that?
well,
Yes.
and the reason I say I understand it because there's an agenda, and everybody has
Mm-hmm.
an agenda. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So that's why as voters, man, we have to be wise. We have to be wise as a serpent and mild as a dove. As the word says. Um, if you don't have a seat at the table,
Mm-hmm.
then you're on the menu.
Mm.
So it's all
Again. Say it again. Say it louder. Say it
if
again.
for the people in the back.
Yeah.
If you don't have a seat at the table, then you're on the agenda.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
why, like I said, I kind of understand what's going on in the great state of Atlanta. You think about the history of
Mm-hmm.
all that transpired in Atlanta.
But Georgia, period. But they want to attack Metro Atlanta because there's more African American in that area, in Metro, in the cities. So yeah, 6 hospitals closed. You know, mailboxes putting into businesses, and you may not get to because you may not be off of work by the time
hmm
they're closed. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Um, just things that we have to be punished for someone else trying to overtake an election. So
See, and they're there. lies the conflict that, you know, I was thinking about when I wrote the book. You know, when you think about spirituality and who we represent, you know,
Mhm,
as people of God, and then you
mhm,
see stuff like this that's happening, what's happening in Atlanta, and people speaking out, you know,
mhm,
in regards to was when I say people speaking out, you know, men of the cloth speaking out. And I mean, I respect their decision. You know, I respect, you know, everybody's voice. You know,
mhm,
and that's something, you know, not to be, and I say this humbly about me, you know, when I don't agree with people, it's like we can agree to disagree.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a good character to have. But you know, when you think
Or
about, yeah, yeah, when you think about what's important and who God is and what He represent, and and for us, you know, people of God who we're supposed to represent, we're like His arms and legs
mhm,
in the world, you know, in the earth realm. We're His ears and His eyes. You know what I'm saying? So how can we let these hospitals close? You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? And then we continue to support the people who had the ability to close them. You know, so
mhm.
it's
Yes,
conflicting, you know.
yes. Then you have a 6 billion surplus where you could have helped or assisted in renovating those hospitals, bringing them up to par, you know, instead of closing them down. But you have to look at the places where they're closed down at, you know.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, and if you're not considered a team player, then you're considered standing alone, you know.
Yes.
You're on your own to you're by yourself. And being a team player, what does that define as? Does that mean that you have to say yes to everything that the leader is suggesting you do or want you to do? Or
Mhm.
like you said, can't you agree to disagree? You know what I'm saying? Still have your opinion and be part of um the table and
Yeah,
not be the agenda, you know.
exactly.
So, does your struggle and challenge run into your confusion and frustration with spirituality, or are those two different entities for you?
Let's say that again.
Does your confusion and frustration come from your struggle and challenge of serving, or are those the same things?
It's the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much the same thing.
Now, what was the light that came and the revelation that came to you that made you understand and put your feet firmly in spirituality with God? What was that turning point?
How much God loves us, you know, through my struggles, you know, and the trials, the things that I've overcome, and to still be able to still be here, still surviving, still thriving. Um, you know, when I would have given up or should have given up, you know, God allows something or someone to say something or speak something to me to make me, you know, want to go on. It, you know, and I never the thought of suicide, nothing. I've never had, you know, that I've never been like clinically depressed. You know, I had highs and lows, but I've always made it through them. And God has shown me that if He brought me through this, He can bring me through whatever else, you know, that I may encounter. You know, and I can. I mean, if everything looks like roses right now, you know, but if we were to get to the nitty gritty and talked about, you know, some of the things that both of us may have been through and you
Mm-hmm,
know who have caused the harm, you know, or try to cause harm, you know, then you know we would, you know, we will really recognize and understand that it's only by the grace of God that we're still here.
mm-hmm,
You know, because sometimes some of your most disappointing things, and that wasn't one of the questions, but one of your most disappointing things come from people, who you love or who look like you or who you least expect to
Mm-hmm.
cause the most harm or try to do the most damage to stop you professionally, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it,
Definitely. 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 So, what would you tell your young self now in this phase of your life? Now that you have experienced several careers, been in the military, what would you tell a young Roxanne?
oh God, a young Roxanne. I'm telling you, a young Roxanne, she always had a good support system, and I've always been family oriented, and that's because my mother and my aunt, my grandmother, and all of them, my father and the males, my uncles and stuff, they always like would come together and keep us together and just help us and encourage us. But my younger Roxanne, what I would tell her is, girl, if that boy doesn't want you, let him go. Don't be crying over him.
Yes, yes,
How
yes.
relationships are when
Oh,
we're young, and we break up with our boyfriends when we're young, or we just think it's the end of the world or it's something wrong with
yes,
us.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I would tell her,
And
baby, look, well, I would
and then
tell her,
and then when you see them later on in life, you might say, I'm glad that happened, or he missed a good thing,
hey, look, and we're not bad mouthing or bashing men because I love y'all.
Mm-mm.
I love y'all. But look, I ran into one of my ex's sister, and she was like, "Oh, Roxanne, oh yeah, you're the one that got away." She said, "You're the one that got away," and I'm like, "Thank you, Jesus, I am." But
Yes.
it's all good though. Yeah.
And one of your, is it a hobby? But one of the things you do, you are a biker. You walk and you are a biker. How did you get into riding motorcycles?
Actually working in law enforcement. When I was a correctional officer, a lot of the guys and some of the females, they had bikes. But even before then, they had motorcycles. Even before then, my baby brother, he had a little Honda bike, a Honda motorcycle that my mom, they bought him for Christmas.
Okay.
I would do is I would rush home from school every day because he taught me how to ride it. I would rush home from school and get his little mini bike, and I would be zooming around the neighborhood on his little mini bike, and then he would come. He'd be looking for his bike, and I was older than him. He like, give me my bike, girl, give me my bike. We would have the same conversation every day. We'd argue and stuff, and then he said, "Okay, go ahead, one more. You got one more ride. Take that ride." And I go around the block one more time, and then I would give
Mhm.
him his bike. And so, but yeah, my also too, my sister used to tell me because I would meet guys who had motorcycles, and she would be like, "You always on the back of somebody's bike. Won't you get your own bike?" I'm like, "Word." And eventually, I got my license, and I started riding. Yeah,
What's your favorite brand of bike?
I like let me see. I had a Kawasaki, but my favorite one now really is a Holly, and that's because they come in so many different, designs now.
Hmm.
So Holly is a bad bike. Its name and its reputation is speak for itself. They need to pay me for this because this is almost like an advertisement for them. But yeah, it's a lot of Hollies that look real good that I like. Yeah.
Okay. So do they make motorcycles just for women, or are most of them just unisex? You just pick the bike you want.
Yeah, you pick the bike you want. Yeah. But they have someone I don't think they really like have bikes that's really geared to women, you know.
Hmm.
And no, no, I don't think so. I think it depends on the CC, and that determines how fast you want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So to the woman to get the one with the CC that she want, and you
Okay.
can get them anywhere from 300 all the way up to probably, I guess maybe 1900 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Miss Felder, who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Wow. Who inspires me? My culture, my culture,
Mm,
my culture.
mm,
And man, it's so many, I'm a history buff. So I love,
mm,
our history. And I grew up in a house where my mom had these little books that she bought from Ebony, Ebony, we used to get Ebony magazine and those little encyclopedia looking books, that
mm,
used to talk about our history. And of course, my girl Harriet Tubman, you know,
mm.
when you read her story, her story, if you know the history and how bad she had to be to, overcome all that she, overcame, for,
Yes.
the most part to make it better for, I don't think she had any children. If she did she, I'm not really I'm not sure. But yeah, she helped to pave the way for women, such as
I
myself.
don't think she had any. I've
Yeah.
read many and I haven't read. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. To think about her story, how she went back to get her family and her husband. You know what I'm saying? Even though
Yes.
he, married someone else or whatever, and how the love that she had not only for herself but her family.
Yes.
Um, she's one. Yeah.
I'm sure you've been to the Harriet Tubman Museum in Maryland. Have you
No,
been there?
no, and I've been planning to go because it's down on that shore. The east is in Cumberland. It's in Cumberland, Maryland, and I keep saying I'm going to go down there because a lot of my friends I've seen they post stuff on Facebook when they grab that mural, where it's located. Her
Hmm.
hand is reaching out, and
Yes.
I got to
Yes.
get I got to get that picture, and I had to go.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you about to mention the Eastern Shore?
Yeah, that's where Cumberland. Cumberland.
Company?
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
where it is. It's near there. It's near the
Hmm.
Eastern Shore, if I'm not mistaken. The Eastern Shore has a lot of history when you think about.
My father's people are from the Eastern Shore.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay.
Baileys. Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's Frederick Douglass. Wasn't that his? Wasn't he a
Yeah,
Bailey?
yeah, yes, and we are, yes, descendants of that. He changed his name when he left slavery. Yes, to
Yeah.
Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, and I think he mentions that in
Hmm.
in it.
I have it now. I stopped reading it because it's a very thick book and I want to be mentally into it. But right now I'm reading The Warmth of the Other Suns about the Great Migration from 1915 to
Yeah.
1975. And so uh, we were born during that era. If you were
Yeah.
born in the 50s, and I graduated in that era. It ended in 75. I graduated in 76. So yes, I'm inspired by my culture also.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next question is, what is your favorite scripture, phrase, or testimony?
Well, I like my favorite one is, and it is scriptures in the Bible. It's God is able. I can't think of the scripture.
Mm,
I mean, it's just as simple as that. God is able, you
to do
know,
anything.
and
Mhm.
exactly, and He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than um we could ask or think. So yeah, it's a lot of scriptures that I like. I'm like, be wise as a serpent and mild as a dove.
Mhm.
Be wise as a serpent and mild as a dove, because
Mhm.
the enemy comes like a thief seeking. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes those people we think are our friends or they're for us, they're not. They're just a thief.
Mhm.
So just the word of God. I mean,
Mhm.
all of it can preach. All of it can preach. Even the word "but," if that's in the Bible, but God. You know what I'm saying? So
Nobody but. Mhm.
it's too many scriptures to really say that I have a favorite one. But all I know is I like God is able.
Mhm.
So
Simple and true to facts.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
What advice do you have for people who are considering joining the military?
Um, and, with this, and with the world being what it is now, um, it's up to the individual, what what they're seeking out of life. If something is not working for you here, if you're not content or happy with the way things are going, maybe you should try something different. You know what I'm saying? And I know for me personally, the military, it has helped me out a lot. It has opened doors for me. I've met some beautiful people, such as yourself, from, being in the military or whatever. I think a lot of our youth, though, they could benefit from, the military as far as discipline and just educating themselves and getting the training and experience, and also to conflict resolution. Because you're gonna even when I was in the military, man, we used to argue and we used to fight too. You had a platoon of 80 girls. It was a platoon of 80 girls, man. We were arguing and fights happened from time to time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we had to work things out. And if you had good drill instructors, they will punish all of y'all until y'all got it together. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. And I think you know, that has helped me become the person that I am too. Conflict resolution,
Mm-hmm.
how to settle, your conflicts without killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think, I know some other countries, I think it's Korea or China, whatever, their young people have to do some military time before, they're able to go off and do whatever it is that they want to do. I don't know how good it's working for them, but I think it's a good concept.
Yeah, it's a group out. I think it's a group out. Is it BTS group? It's a group out. They're Asian boys and they can't tour right now because they said they have to join the military.
Oh,
So that's a mandatory thing for them. Yeah. I think they were on American Got Talent or something and they made it. And so I was just reading recently that they have to stop their touring and
wow.
do their military, put in their military time. Yes.
I'm familiar with them, and they're very talented. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
that's probably why I haven't been seeing them on TV a lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. Well, thank you, Miss Felder. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you for joining the Navy and having the same job I did, Radio Man. It's a good communication field, and it introduced us to a lot of things. And one of the things I loved about being in the military, I'm a proud veteran woman, is that your everyday lifestyle, that military lifestyle never leaves you.
it never
You know,
leaves.
it never leaves you. It
And, and
never leaves you.
and you know what? No matter where we are in the world, when you meet another veteran, it's almost like we have a certain amount of respect for
Yes,
each other, and we look out for each other
yes,
for the most
yes,
part. So it instills in, in us something that we never really release.
yes, yes.
Or we
And
never.
that's why I joined a military organization to help.
Yes,
Like I said before, once we're in the military, we're taken care of. But what about the transitioning coming out? Everybody doesn't have a good foundation. Everybody doesn't have a good start to lay off. And some people have issues to get themselves acclimated back into civilian life,
yeah,
So, hmm yes.
yeah.
But when you meet other military people, first you got to get over which branch you were in.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
oh
know
yeah.
your branch, you know.
Because we all think, I know, we all think we are
Yes,
branch.
yes,
You know,
yes.
and so, but it's nothing like a sailor though, being a Navy sailor.
Okay. Yeah, I tell my Air Force people that and my Army people that, but they won't listen,
And the Marines too. You gotta
Yes,
let them know too. Because
yes,
they all about it.
yes,
They are
yes.
for the most part, but they can't go anywhere not unless we transport them. So
That's right. That's right.
we're like their Uber.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Miss Felder. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being this year's My Veteran Spotlight. And
Oh,
thank you for your service still in your community. And may God continue to bless you.
thank you so much. I received that, and I thank you for honoring me, or just honoring the military in general. I appreciate you, and I pray that you eventually end up on TV with your own show. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Pam.
Thank you.
Good talking to you.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye bye.
Peace.
Peace.